Good morning. It's very exciting to see so many people here ready to celebrate. Welcome to Women Helping Women. My name is Amy Doyle, and I have the privilege of serving as the Executive Director of the Mind and Spirit Counseling Center. We are so grateful you're here today. Whether this is your first Women Helping Women, like me, or you've been part of this celebration for decades, you've been a part of this community that truly makes a difference. At Mind and Spirit Counseling Center, our mission is simple: to provide compassionate, high-quality mental health care to anyone who walks into our doors, regardless of their ability to pay. That access is possible only because of this community right here. Every day at the center, we sit with individuals, families, and children navigating hard things, anxiety, grief, trauma, just life transitions. For many of them, cost would be a barrier, but because of supporters like you, we're able to say yes. Yes, you can come in. Yes, you will be supported. Yes, you do not have to go through this alone. Today is about that connection. It's about showing up for one another, sharing stories, and continuing to build a community where healing is possible for everyone. Please go ahead, if you haven't started, and enjoy your lunch. We are so glad that you're here, and I'm going to turn it over now to Heather Stuyvesant, and she'll lead you through today's program.
Thank you, Amy, and good morning, everyone. I'm Heather Stuyvesant. I'm the Director of Development at Mind and Spirit Counseling Center, and I am so honored to welcome you to this year's Women Helping Women Luncheon. Today's program centers around something we all experience in some way: grief and loss, and how we can begin to reimagine what a full and meaningful life can look like on the other side of it. Now, I know that this is not exactly a light lunch topic, but it is a meaningful one, and it's one that connects us all in many different ways. It's also a reflection of the work that's happening every day at Mind and Spirit Counseling Center, where people are given space, support, and care to navigate exactly these kinds of moments. You'll learn and hear from our honoree, Susanna DeBaca, and later, a powerful and thoughtful conversation about grief, healing, and what it means to move forward with Amy Putney Koenig and Molly Cooney. Now, before we begin, I'd like to recognize the people who make both this event and this work possible. First, I'd like to celebrate our incredible co-chairs, Kinsey Gillespie and Susanna Lautenslager, along with our dedicated committee members and underwriting committee listed in your program. Can you all stand to be recognized? Your leadership, your time, your heart have shaped today in such meaningful ways. So from the bottom of my heart, thank you. And now I'd like to take a moment to recognize the sponsors who make today possible. Please hold your applause until all of the sponsors have been recognized. Thank you to our presenting sponsor, Sally Wallace. Because of you, access to mental health support isn't just an idea, it's a reality. And to our leadership sponsors, Hy-Vee, Silver Fox, Wallaby, West Bank, Carol Bodensteiner, in honor of Jerry Ann Ritter, Rusty Hubble, LaDonna and Rich Mathis, Terry Vaughn, in honor of Susanna DeBaca, Susan and Carl Voss, in honor of Susanna DeBaca, Michelle and Steve Whitty, Kathy Zimpelman. Thank you for your generosity and your belief in this mission, and for allowing us to show up for the individuals and family in our community, especially in moments when they need care most. And we'd also like to recognize our supporting sponsors who are listed on the screen and in your event program. Your support is deeply appreciated and truly makes a difference in the lives that we serve. We would also like to extend our sincere thanks to the Business Record for serving as our media sponsor. Their partnership continues to support and help amplify important work being done in our community and broaden the reach of this event. Now, please join me in expressing our sincere gratitude for all of the sponsors that made this event possible. Now, before we move on, I also want to take a moment to recognize just a few more groups who are essential of making both today and the work of the center possible. First, I'd like to recognize our board members who are here with us today. Now, if you're a board member, will you please stand so we can recognize you? Your leadership, your guidance, and your commitment to this mission help ensure that the work continues to grow and reach those who need it most. So thank you. And now I'd also like to recognize my incredible colleagues at the Mind and Spirit Counseling Center. Many of them are here today volunteering to make this event possible, and I could not do it without them. This group shows up every single day to do the work, supporting individuals, families through some of life's most challenging moments with compassion and care and expertise. If you are a member of the Mind and Spirit Counseling Center, will you please stand so we can recognize you? Thank you for your dedication to this mission. Before we continue, just a few more notes to help you enjoy the experience today. If you haven't already, we'd really appreciate it if you could silence your phones so that we can be fully present for the stories and conversations ahead. And as you continue to enjoy your lunch, you will notice there is a tent with conversation prompts placed at your table. We encourage you to engage in these questions with your group that are inspired by The Death Deck by Lisa Paul. Now, it might sound like a little bit of a bold choice for a luncheon, but these questions are designed to spark meaningful and sometimes surprisingly uplifting conversations. We're also thrilled to welcome back Beaverdale Books again this year, and following the program, we encourage you to visit their table at the back of the ballroom where they are featuring a thoughtful collection of books centered on grief, loss, healing, and resilience. And included among them is Susanna Debaca's newly released poetry book called You Were Never Lost, Poems from the Tallgrass Prairie, as well from our speaker, Amy Putney Koenig's book, Shapeshifter, The Art of Family Tragedy and How to Be Amazing Anyway. We are especially grateful for both authors and Beaverdale Books. They are generously donating the proceeds from the book sales to Mind and Spirit Counseling Center. So we hope that you will consider supporting their work and our mission by purchasing a book or two. And then thanks to our floral sponsor this year, Bows and the Florist, for these beautiful flowers and creating such a welcoming space for all of us today. We encourage somebody at the table to take it at the end of the event and share it with somebody that could use a reminder that they're not alone. It's a simple way that we can extend this care and connection that we are talking about today beyond this room. And finally, as we break for lunch, we invite you to take in a special showcase from our recent Healing Through Art initiative, which will be featured on the screens throughout the lunch break. At Mind and Spirit Counseling Center, we know that healing doesn't not always happen, with words alone, especially in our work with children and families. Art often becomes a powerful tool for expression, for connection, for healing, and it offers a safe way for us to process emotions, tell stories, and build hope. These meaningful pieces are created in response to the prompt, what healing looks like to me, and they reflect the resiliency, the creativity, and the personal journeys of our community. And we hope that they bring a moment of reflection and inspiration as you enjoy your lunch. From the bottom of our hearts, thank you so much for being here, and we're so glad that you're part of this community. Please enjoy your lunch, and we will return in just a little while. Thank you.
All right, welcome back, everyone. Hopefully you're all enjoying your lunch. My name is Kinsey Gillespie, and I am honored to serve as this year's Women Helping Women co-chair. Being part of this event has been incredibly meaningful, not only because of the community in this room, but because of what it represents. This group of supporters helps ensure that mental health care is accessible at Mind and Spirit Counseling Center to those who need it most. Before we continue, I want to take a moment to recognize some special donors here today. Thank you to the many table hosts here today, currently listed on the screens and in your program. Your generosity turns compassion into action. Thank you for inviting others to learn more about this important work. We are also honored to welcome our special friend and leader-level supporters. Your generosity and steadfast commitment make a meaningful difference in the lives of those we serve and help ensure that compassionate care remains accessible to those who need it most. A full listing of our special friend supporters can be found by scanning the QR code in your program. Before we share Susanna's story, I also want to recognize the talented students from Waukee Community Schools APEX program who helped create today's videos. APEX students, could you please stand? Your creativity and thoughtfulness have helped bring these stories to life in a meaningful way, and we're so grateful for your work. And now it is my honor to introduce this year's Women Helping Women honoree, Susanna DeBaca. Susanna is a respected leader, a dedicated advocate, and someone who has made a lasting impact in our community through her commitment to elevating mental health and supporting organizations that serve others. She embodies the spirit of Women Helping Women, using her leadership and influence to create meaningful change and to help open the door for honest and important conversations about mental health in our community. We are proud to recognize Susanna for the impact she continues to make in strengthening our community. Please join me in turning your attention to the screen as we share a video celebrating Susanna and her impact.
When I think of Susanna, there is no one word that really exemplifies her because she is so talented.
I would describe Susanna as fiercely authentic.
She is what I would describe as a Renaissance woman. She is multi-talented, multifaceted. Not only is she a businesswoman, has nonprofit experience, but she's a poet, and she's a painter, and an artist, and is so well-versed in so many different avenues, and she uses those to really engage the broader community, to really transform the community as a whole.
I remember when she was hired and looking at her resume and just being so impressed that here was a woman who had worked on Wall Street and had an MBA from Harvard, and she was coming to work in the nonprofit sector in Des Moines, Iowa, and just being so eager to learn everything I possibly could from her. Said, will you mentor me? I want to learn everything I possibly can from you. And she graciously said yes.
We worked together for 6 years. Those kept developing and growing, and I now consider her one of my very best friends.
She carries herself with such confidence, and she knows exactly who she is and what she brings to the table.
Susanna represents both sides of the brain so well. So she is not only someone who can carry on a conversation with anyone and be vulnerable and talk about her own mistakes or her learnings in life. She is just able to balance both parts of what it means to be a powerhouse and successful so eloquently. It didn't matter what your role was. If you were the intern, she was always warm and made you feel like she had time for you.
When I got the call from the Mind and Spirit Counseling Center, I thought, well, I don't really think of myself as an advocate. But then I realized, no, I have always been very vocal, writing and speaking about mental health. And a lot of that is personal. As a teenager and as a young adult, I faced a lot of challenges, and I benefited greatly from counseling services and from the support of others, and so it's very important to me. We spend a lot of our time in the workplace, and traditionally, people haven't spoken a lot about how the workplace impacts our mental health or even our behaviors. today, the rate and pace of change and all of the digital technology that we're using have created new stressors. So it's more important than ever to be talking about what that experience of work really means to our behavior and to our emotional health. The Lifting the Veil series was already established when I joined the firm, and the ability to expand that work, especially during COVID, felt like an honor to do. So I was so proud of the team, and they've just continued to do great things even beyond me.
10 or 12 years ago, people didn't talk about mental health problems. We needed more knowledge in the community, and we needed to be talking about mental health. And Susanna has added to that in her work. It has made a difference to have a publication that talks about it openly and gives resources.
She's that mirror where if the spotlight is coming to her, she's sharing that spotlight with everyone and really engages intentionally others around her to uplift, to support, and to bring others along.
People feel safe opening up to Susanna because of her incredible amount of lived experiences that she is very open, honest, and transparent about. Her keen ability to balance emotion and have a significant amount of emotional intelligence with the ability to create an action plan and help you logically think, what are the steps that I need to take to get through this?
She leads with humanity first. She sees people. She intentionally engages folks by creating inclusive spaces where we all feel like we belong.
Just being a strong female leader who has accomplished so much professionally in a business setting and has chosen to bring those talents back to a nonprofit sector, and to see her give of herself, not only personally but professionally in that way, is so inspiring. I think of a time we went to a dinner and got caught in a rainstorm trying to run back to our cars, and we're soaking wet and just laughing hysterically in our business attire.
We took a selfie of us all in the middle of this downpour just to recognize that we need moments like that, where in times of challenges and struggle, in the middle of a thunderstorm, we can find those moments of joy. And I think that is testament to Susanna and applicable to why we're here today.
I define my purpose as using my gifts to try to make a difference in the world at the intersection of leadership, creativity, communication, and advocacy. You do not have to have all of the answers, but just having the willingness to sit down and have an open conversation and listen to someone with empathy can make a real difference. Our leaders send very strong messages about what's okay to talk about and do with mental health. But what they say and what they do then has to translate into reality, and leaders have often the power or the ability to make changes in the workplace to really turn that support into something real.
Susanna embodies everything that women helping women is about.
There are times when sometimes I sit and think, what would Susanna do, right? Like, I need a WWSD bracelet. What would Susanna do?
Because she shines so many lights on other people that it's time for her to get the spotlight that she deserves.
This honor is so incredibly meaningful to me, but also really very much motivates me to see and ask myself, what more can I do?
That was such a beautiful tribute. Thank you to the Apex students for so thoughtfully showcasing the incredible leadership and impact Susanna brings to our community. Susanna, we're so grateful for you and the example you set for all of us. Please join me in welcoming Susanna to the stage.
Wow.
What an incredible honor this is. I am so deeply grateful to the Mind and Spirit Counseling Center for this recognition and for the extraordinary work that you do every day, providing care for people with so much compassion, dignity, and hope. Let's give them all a round of applause for the important work that they do. First, I really want to just say thank you to the whole Mind and Spirit Counseling Center staff, including Amy, Heather, who I worked with a lot, Rachel, the whole staff, the board, the planning committee, the underwriting cabinet, and the servers here at Prairie Meadows who made this lunch possible. Let's give all of those people another round of applause. There is something so incredibly powerful about the concept of women helping women, because sisters, we have got to be there for each other. Am I right? Organizations like the Mind and Spirit Counseling Center matter so much because they remind us that we do not have to carry difficult things alone. There are others around to support us, and often it's our sisters. I want to say thank you to Apex, the students. They were so impressive, let me tell you, and everyone involved in creating that extraordinary video. Very deeply moving. Connie, Jenna, Daniel. Happy birthday, Daniel. Yes, exactly. Thank you so much for your kind words. Really very humbling. And that night that we got caught in the rain, I mean, we were 100%, nothing we could do, completely soaked. It was after the Interfaith Alliance dinner. So my response to seeing that picture up there is, people, when you get caught in the rain and you don't have an umbrella, just jump in the puddles. Just jump in the puddles and embrace it. So thank you so much. This recognition is partly so meaningful to me because of the women who have been recognized before me. So many people who I admire, many of my role models, including Connie Weimer, Connie Isaacson, Mary Gottschalk, Mary Ritchie. I know many of you are here, Susan Voss, and so many more, to be recognized with women who have dedicated so much of their life to service, who've done it with so much compassion and so much compare and just keep on doing it, means so much to me. But what really makes this day so meaningful is the theme of this gathering, which is grief, loss, healing, and mental health. And as you saw in the video, these are not concepts that are abstract to me. These are emotions and experiences that are very deeply personal to me. So let me ask you in the room, without TMI, raise your hands. How many of you have ever experienced grief or loss? Okay, I wish there was someone in the room who didn't raise their hand, but these are universal. And like many of you, I have experienced grief, loss, disappointment, uncertainty, heartbreak. And one thing that I have learned over time, you probably have too, is that grief is not linear. Grief doesn't come and then go away. A lot of the time it circles back around, just you're nodding. When you think you're over it, it just slaps you in the face. Since I'm a hiker, I think of this as what I would call an emotional switchback. And so you're like, wait, I thought I was on the right trail, but here I am circling again because I'm still apparently supposed to revisit this. How many of you have experienced these switchbacks that I'm talking about? Yes, we all know what those are. But over time, what I have learned is that healing requires honesty, it requires support, but it really requires the ability to ask for help, because we, especially as women, cannot just power through everything on our own and expect for there to be no cost. Grief and loss inhabit your body, they inhabit your mind. You have to process these things in order to get through them. For me, healing happens in many, many ways, through relationships, through nature, meditation, spirituality. Yes, even work. Work is a form of healing to me. But creativity, poetry, and art especially have helped me sit with things that are very difficult and work through them instead of running away from them. And those things have helped me notice that there is still so much beauty even in the really, really hard seasons, and have helped me to remain open to joy and hope and connectedness. That's why I'm very excited to hear Molly and Amy talking about the power of creativity. But everybody has to find the thing that is right for them. For some people, that is therapy. I am probably standing here alive in front of you today because of going through therapy and counseling. Some people need medication. Some people need art, creativity, nature, faith, whatever it is, or simply just being honest with somebody that you trust and seeking support. As I said, I have benefited from support in so many ways, and I do want to thank a number of people who are here who have been so helpful to me. So many of my family and friends, people sitting at this table, and I see you all through the room, former colleagues who became such good friends. You have all shared this journey with me over the years, so I want to thank you for your encouragement and your support, and your sense of humor has gotten me through a lot of things. But especially to my mother, who's here, about to celebrate her 91st birthday next week. We can give her a round of applause. To my stepson, Trinity, who flew in, thank you so much for being here. And my husband, Ronnie, you guys have been my steady place through so much of my life. Thank you for all the practical help, finding keys and phones and all those things, for your emotional support, and certainly for your love. It means everything to me. I have a table of nieces here, and I want to thank you for bringing so much light into my life and for teaching me. You guys give me new vocabulary, and you give me a lot of hope. Hope is important. Recently, I published a poetry book, they mentioned that, called You Were Never Lost, Poems from the Tall Grass Prairie. So thank you, Beaverdale, for your support in being here. Those poems reflect on grief and loss, but they also really talk about friendship and healing and finding our way through difficult landscapes, both internal landscapes and external landscapes. And writing them reminded me that even in difficult seasons, there still is so much beauty, meaning, and connection and hope if we allow ourselves the time and the space and the places to heal. Maybe we actually become stronger for going through them. So with that, I'd like to close by sharing one of those poems, a short poem called If You Veer Off the Path. And the videos that you see accompanying it, I took at an artist in residence at White Rock Conservancy in Coon Rapids, Iowa, which I encourage you to visit. So let's go ahead and play the video. If you veer off the path, if you take an unmarked trail, if you leave without a map, do not be surprised if you find yourself lost. If you veer off the path, if you leave what is known, if you turn from the signs, you must have faith, or at least a sense of direction. If the sun is hidden, if the shadows fall long, if the sky does not speak, then faith matters more, then instinct will lead you. You are not far. You are not far. You are not far from where others have walked. you must listen carefully. Ration your water. Pace yourself. When you feel alone, look again. The path is still there, the trail still visible. Others have walked this way. Their footsteps soften the ground. You are not the first. You are not the first to wander. You are not the first to walk without knowing. You are not alone. Not in the stillness, not in the turning grass, not in the quiet that walks beside you. Thank you again. I appreciate this very much.
Thank you, Susanna, for your leadership and for the example you have set in our community. My name is also Susanna Lautenschlager, and I'm also honored to serve as a co-chair for this year's Women Helping Women. As we planned this program, we kept coming back to one idea, that while grief and loss are universal experiences, the access to support during those times is not. And that's why the work of the Mind and Spirit Counseling Center matters so much. Every day, individuals are given the space to process loss, navigate change, and begin to rebuild, and that access is made possible because of this community. Grief can be loud or quiet, expected or unexpected, and sometimes it shows up in the most inconvenient times, like in the middle of a workday. What we hope today offers is reflection, connection, and a new way of thinking about how we support one another to live a full life. To help us explore this topic more deeply, we're joined by two incredible women. Guiding our discussion today is Molly Cooney. Many of you know Molly from her decades-long career at KCCI, where she told the stories of our community with depth and humanity. As one of the first women in that newsroom, she helped pave the way for others while shaping how stories are shared and understood. Molly brings a deep sense of curiosity and compassion, qualities that are essential not just in storytelling, but in conversations like the one we're about to have today. And joining her is my friend, Amy Putney-Koenig. Amy is a multidisciplinary artist whose work explores the intersection of beauty and brokenness. Drawing from her lived experiences and her work as a death doula, she creates spaces for conversations around grief, trauma, and healing. Her work reminds us that even in the hardest moments, there is meaning, connection, and the possibility of transformation. Together, Molly and Amy will guide us through a conversation about grief, loss, and how we begin to reimagine a full life alongside it. Please join me in welcoming Amy and Molly to the stage.
Thank you, Susanna. Susanna, any other Susannas in the crowd? Sorry.
Lots of Amy's at my table too. I love that. Lots of Amy's.
I met one other Molly.
Yes.
Yeah, spelled it differently, but that's all right. We are both honored to be here today, to be included in this vital information session. And you have a powerful story to tell. Grief knows no age, no ethnicity, no financial. It affects us all. Yeah. And we've learned a good lesson already, but you have such a vital story to tell, and we're honored to have you share your experiences. So first of all, you have kind of a grounding practice that you want us to do, Amy.
Yes, I would love that. I know we're in the middle of lunch. I'm so delighted and excited to be here. But I think it would be lovely if we took a moment, right? If you just take a moment, here we are. If you could maybe put your phone down or your fork down and just, you can keep your eyes open or you can close them, right? Just take a moment to check in. Whoa, right? It's weird to close your eyes in a room full of people because I can tell you're all looking at me. But maybe just take a moment to feel your seat, to feel your feet, maybe feel your heart beating, feel the air around you. and hear the sounds. And just get present. If you feel scattered, if you're at work, if you're driving, if you're doing other things, just invite your whole self into your body and into the room. And then maybe think of someone that you've lost. Think of a loved one. Think of someone you'd like to invite into the conversation with you, into your heart, into your memory. And just allow that person or pet or that loved one to be here with you. That you've landed in the room, in your presence, in your body. And we'll take a breath in and let it go. You can open your eyes. Whoa. Hi. Hi, thanks, Molly. I'm so, like I say, excited to be here and honored to get to talk about my work and this work and, mental health, recovery, women helping women, grief.
We're going to hear your story in a minute, but how do you describe grief? We've heard lots of different snippets today.
Well, I love that the root, or maybe the origin of the word grief is a heavy weight, or a heaviness, a heavy burden, a heavy emotional burden. It's kind of related to gravity, but we think about grief, and we think about it's this natural response to loss. Loss is the sting, right? Loss is the main pain. Grief is the thing that lingers with us. Grief is the thing that stays. It takes on many forms. We feel it mentally, physically, emotionally, societally, collectively, all those ways. And grief also to me is this, the way we've heard Susanna talk about the way that it can flow, the way it ebbs and flows. But to me, I think that's a great indicator that it's the example, it's the proof of great love, right? It's the proof that we have loved something, someone very deeply. And grief, grief is about change. When that changes, when that goes away, there will be grief, and grief is that heaviness that comes in multiple ways. And I'm so grateful that we talk about it, because I feel like grief has been a thing that we whisper about it. We want people to kind of get over it, okay? Can you just move on? But we're here to be in the grief and to talk about it and to let it be a normal reaction to loss.
And what about loss? There are so many different kinds of loss, not just a person.
Right, loss. I mean, the loss of a job, loss of a relationship, loss of the last bite, there's loss of a sunset. There's so much loss. And I think about this great example of a child. When you have a toddler and you take away their toy, that's a little grief. You have that tantrum, you have that tragic struckness, that is grief. Loss is around us. If there is change, there will be loss. Any type of change, or there will be grief. Like any type of change invites grief, right? It's in everywhere. And we've talked about collective grief. We can all be grieving the environment, or war, or displacement, poverty, gas prices, all that stuff. Grief is closer than we think. Grief is not just a direct, immediate death.
What are the stages of grief?
The stages of grief were written. Elizabeth Kubler-Ross wrote a book in 1969 called Death and Dying, and she had spent time interviewing terminally ill patients. She got to be this neutral presence and interview people that were dying. And I will say that it's really hard to die when people are sad at you and mad at you for dying, right? So I like to bring a space of allowing someone to die and not be so sad at them and not make it about me. She was able to not make it about her and to talk to these people and get the truth. Oh, it makes me crazy when they do this. It makes me crazy when they come in and cry. But she really experienced listening to them and created these 5 stages of grief. And I think it's been evolved. They were for the dying, which is great. But because grief is so hard, people that are grieving said, oh, let me get that recipe. Like, let me get those 5 stages so I can just go check, check, check. And grief is not like that. But it is a little touch point. So I think denial, anger, bargaining, depression, guilt, and then we've added acceptance, we've added shock, they've added hope, right? We go through all those things that can go on in a mind, because the mind is a very busy place, and when we're experiencing loss, we kind of want to know the way out, and those stages have become something that has been, it's a universal tool.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Tell us about your loss.
My loss is, it's something I've worked on over the years, kind of unraveling and navigating. And it involves my recovery from alcoholism. It involves like my presence, my old self would not have been up here sitting talking to you. That is for sure. So it involves this grief that was really not mine. It was really not mine. I was born a year after a tragic accident killed my mom's little sister. And so there's this interesting thing about grief and epigenetics and DNA, and like your DNA will, if you're pregnant and you're grieving, I didn't know that it was passed on. I knew about inherited trauma, I think we would talk about it at the time, but not so much grief. And when I was younger, I thought it was cool. I thought it was like, yes, I am dark and tough, and I'm this thing, but I didn't really understand it. I was told about this car crash. Susan Wharf was born in 1957. She went to Monroe Elementary School. She got picked up on May 30th to go on a Girl Scout outing to the Ledges. And they got to the Ledges. She knew the driver of the car. She was also a nurse and the Girl Scout leader. And she drove them to the Ledges, and because of the rain, they came home early. And on the way home, I've been to the mile marker, which is so weird because there's flowers there.
That's tough.
Yeah, so on the way home, they get in a crash, and Susan was drugged 125 feet. She was caught up on the seatbelt. So she was drugged through a ditch. The car stops. It hit a pole, and they had somebody use a tire jack to get the car off of her, and then they had her get up and walk. And because the woman that was driving the car, her daughter had an injury, she wanted to rush her daughter to the hospital, and so she had Susan get a ride home with a stranger. Susan gets a ride home. She arrives at the door, muddy and bloody and semi-conscious. My grandfather, her father, did not know what happened. He rushes her to the hospital. They accuse him of child abuse. They say that, the pediatrician was called, and then he was called back and said he didn't need to come. She's the youngest one in the slide. My mom is the one right above her. The pediatrician said, the pediatrician was called, you don't need to come in. There's no x-rays on the weekends. She's just vomiting because she's had too much picnic. And she was dead within 6 hours of being at the hospital. And my aunt and my grandmother were both nurses. They could see the bump on her head. They could see the change in her. They were begging for someone to help. No one helped. And she died. And
she was how old?
11.
Okay.
And it did what grief does, it destroyed them. And they never got it back. They tried to fight for justice. My mom was hit the hardest, or else she used it, it was her thing. So I was born and I heard about the ghost of Susan. I heard about Susan. I heard about the child that died. I heard that my mom wanted to die so she could be with her sister. I knew that, at the time we don't talk about grief. So when my mom went to get help, she was given drugs, right? Like the good stuff, as they would say at the time. And it started her on a lifelong opiate addiction to try to be free of that. And so in being a child and hearing my mom wanting to die and knowing that she loves me, but I also can't make her happy, it made me really interested in death. And can I dig up the family dog? Can I, collect these bones? I know you want to die. I know, she died. And it just was this thing that perpetuated. When there's a thing that happens when a child dies in a family, and the other kids will never be what that child was, right? They'll never live up to that child. She was at the Playhouse, she did sign language, she was amazing. But I have her audio recordings, and there was a point where I thought I want to tell the story because I loved the darkness of the story. I loved her resilience. I loved that she got drugged through a ditch and stood up. It's I know that. I know that. Like, I'm fine. Like, I can be that sort of thing that women get sometimes when we can be battered and bruised but we're really just fine. So I loved that part of the narrative. And as I got older, as I, was making art about the work, I wanted to change that story a little bit.
But you turned to drugs and alcohol as well.
I did, yep, I did. A little bit later, I was really scared of it at the time. I didn't want to do what my mom did, and I was a late bloomer to that part, but I was good at it. I got good at it. Some can attest. And it's just this thing where someone's telling you, this is what works for me, maybe you should try this. And we still joke about my mom. She died in 2019, but if you stubbed your toe on the way in, she'd be like, would you like an Oxy? And it's like, I'm good.
Yeah.
I'm pretty good. But so, it was alcohol that kind of did me in. I had a good 8-year run of it. I had the terrible relationship. I was kind of in a relationship with someone I loved who was creative and interesting, but he was also sick and broken and felt like I was taking care of my mom. And
you also turned to art. And as we heard earlier, art and creativity. You started working for a little store. I think we've heard of it for like 30 years.
Where are they? They're out there.
Sticks. Anybody heard of Sticks?
Over there? Yes, Sticks, Object Art and Furniture. Hi! Hi! Yes, art has always been the thing I've done, like since childhood, drawing in my room, crying and drawing and drama and songs and listening to my mom's stuff. And I love this duality in my artwork. I like to make collage I would use just found papers and objects. I love things that had life and spirit, 100 years ago. And then I love bright, colorful paintings. I walked into Sticks. We had just gotten over the floods, I think. My boots were muddy. I thought I might need to leave these at the door. And I met Sarah Grant and was like, we kind of have a similar thing going. I had my portfolio with murals and stuff, and I started there in 94. And 30 years, I did not mean to be there that long, but it was a really incredible, wonderful place to grow up and feel supported and balance out my art, like the dark stuff and the light stuff, which is all of life, right? We are grief, we are love, we are sadness, we are joy. This is another collage of Susan, and so that has been this constant. And it eventually came to the point where I wanted to tell the story of Susan through my art.
And you had an exhibit. You've had several exhibits. Yes, we'll talk about your book in a second, but talk about the exhibits that you've done.
So I find myself loving art. Like, beautiful art is lovely, pretty art is lovely, but I kind of like to feel something. And as I got sober, I'm 20 plus years sober now. It started with a pregnancy. Yay! Right? It's really cool. If you think it's not cool and you're struggling, it's the coolest thing ever. I was very much like, I'll lose my creativity. I won't be who I am when I'm sober. And it's like, it's so much better. It's really cool. So I ended up pregnant, and I knew I wanted to be a different example. And so I want to be a different example to my daughter. And that inspired me to be a different example for Susan, right? To not just remember her from her tragic death. That was the thing. But to remember her as a vibrant and beautiful and funny child. She was a child. She didn't mean to die and wreck these lives. She was living her life, and this accident happened. And so it meant something to me to work through my journey of recovery and the things I learned along the way about gratitude, about self-love, about tools. Like, I like to use altars and have a little space where I'm honoring people that I love, to know that I'm not alone. Like, I have a whole legion of women behind me. To use those tools, but to also, oddly, I had been making all these collage with papers from the Brass Armadillo, right? Papers and photographs and things that weren't mine. And then I was given this box that had everything in it. It had the police report. It had the hospital receipt. It had everything from the accident. It had, my grandmother wrote hundreds of times, killed on a Girl Scout outing, killed on a Girl Scout outing, died on a Girl Scout outing, on the backs of these photos. So I did the original show that was Shapeshifter, The Art of Family Tragedy, and How to Be Amazing Anyway. The family tragedy part is the collage work. that are the layers. The How to Be Amazing Anyway are bright, colorful paintings. And my mom got to come to that show. And that my dad came too. He's scared of everything, but my mom was like there for it. You know, it meant a lot to her because, you know, Susan, I have an amazing audio recording, like I said, of her singing at the Iowa State Fair the summer before her death. And she sang an Eartha Kitt song. And to have that audio recording, to hear her voice, right? Because she was just this story, like to make her real was really important to me and to celebrate her.
Did that help your mother?
No.
Oh.
I mean, she enjoyed it, she was proud of it, but I think it was, you know, at some point, it becomes our cover. It becomes our, like, don't take this away from me. Don't take this grief away from me, because then who am I, right? She designed a life to be in her grief, to not ever pick my kids up from school, to, you know, sleep all day long. All the things I love about her. She was totally classy, rock and roll, crazy lady. And yeah,
kind
she
of like
saw
you.
it, yeah. You would love her.
Shapeshifter. Tell us the
Yes.
meaning. You mentioned it a little bit, but your book.
I decided because I did the show in 2012, and I just sent the show along. It kind of sold out. I should have traveled the show, but I was like broke, and I'm like, yeah, you can have that. Let's go. And then the show was over, and I was like, oh, I should keep talking about that, but okay, I didn't. So I do that show. My mom died in 2018, and we had an incredible experience at her death. Like, I had an incredible experience with her at her death. She blasted my heart. She came to me, I did a little meditation, what do you want me to know? And she just blasted my heart, and it was incredible. And so I did a kind of a finale show called A Viewing, Art on Death and Reconciliation. I invited Blank Children's Hospital staff, I invited Girl Scout staff, I invited everyone that was involved in the death of Susan that day to come participate in letting go, in forgiveness, in moving on. And they were all so receptive to that. And community came. I invited community to come and bring their own papers or artifacts to either put in a fire to let go of, or to add to a community collage. And we made a community collage. And I was a little bit shocked at the outcome, because people showed up. And when my mom died, I was able to put her ashes in the vault with Susan, because Susan's in a little drawer. And here's this little metal coffin, another signifier of her realness. And the book felt like I could put that all in a book and put these chapters together. It's an art and activity book. So it might be a heavy chapter. It's short, it's sweet, and then there's an activity to do, because art kind of, you know, for me it's art and humor. The humor is that my mom wanting to die my whole life led me to be the kid digging up bones and talking about death, you know, and it's like, well, thanks. But we have to talk about death. We're all going to die. We have to be willing to talk about death and grief.
And how did this translate into you raising your children? Did you pass on your mother's traits?
I did not.
Okay.
Well, I did maybe, but they know my mother so differently, which is so cool. My daughter was born in 1999. And that was a real big, you know, she was a really grounding moment for me to get it together. Like, I want to be an example of a woman that loves herself. I can do things for others better than I can do for myself, because I like to think I would like to wreck it. Let's just make a mess of things. But for her, I knew that it's not about what I say, but it's about what I do. And so I had to transform myself through recovery, through doing work, through yoga, meditation. You know, really it's doing stuff I didn't want to do to bring about amazing results, to be a different person. So I could be a different person for her. And that was the catalyst of, that's not my grief. I don't need to pass that to her. I don't need to pass this, you know, I call it sometimes this platter of or a blanket of resentment, because there was so much anger and resentment at the death of that child. And here's resentment, grief, and addiction. Welcome to the world. You know, I didn't want it that for her.
You also have taken another avenue where you've become a death doula and a hospice volunteer.
Yeah.
So we've heard of birth doulas.
Yeah.
So tell us a little bit about hospice and death doulas.
After my mom died, You know, it was really important for me to be there for her. And the last few years of her life were amazing. She would make little lists of songs and playlists. I don't know how she knew Kanye so well, but she'd have these like songs that she really loved. And then I would put them on the playlist and we would drive around. And her death was really unexpected. And, you know, she had a no DNR, but something happened when they brought her back, and she had a big bump on her head and a punctured lung from resuscitation, and I did not expect her to die when she did, but I had been taking care of her, and so the year after she died, it felt like if I'm gonna talk about these things and use it in my artwork, then I feel like I should be present for people that are dying. And I just signed up with Every Step Hospice to be a hospice volunteer. You do a training, and I love that, you know, sometimes we think hospice volunteer is like it's immediate death, like you're with someone that's like immediately agonizing in death, and it's not that. Are there other hospice volunteers in here? Raise your hand. Yeah, see, right? There's a couple. Right? It can be everything from sitting with a person who has no one else to baking little snacks for the families. I love to be there for the person doing the dying. I like to be a neutral presence and you know, like I said, not be mad at them or sad at them for dying. Like, how do you want the room to look? Like little changes. And then it just made sense to do a death doula training. I highly recommend anyone interested in being a death doula to be a hospice volunteer. You will learn everything in real time. You know, there's many ways that people die, and it's, you know, loud, quiet, messy. You don't even know sometimes. Like, I've spent time talking to a man, I was so glad he was comfortable finally, and they're like, yeah, he died like 20 minutes ago. I'm like, okay, yay, Steve. So I recommend it to everyone, and a death doula is just a little bit more, it's a non-medical support for families. You know, it's something like giving a break to the caretakers. It's like, sometimes we get so confused and baffled by death because it's been taken away from us. Right? We don't know how to sit with our bodies. We think everything needs to rush away. That it can be the easiest thing, like moving a hospital bed from a room with no windows to a room where the garden is in someone's home. It's all these little things, reminding people to plan their death, to plan your party, to plan your legacy, to know that we're going to die, and to do it all soon. You don't have to wait to the end, right?
Why are we so uncomfortable? I mean, we are beginning to talk more about it, as we are beginning to talk more about therapy and mental illness, counseling centers like this, so vital. But why? Is it because we don't want to face that reality?
I think so. There's a really incredible book by Dr. Joanna Cacciatore, and it's called Bearing the Unbearable, right? And she references a cult of happiness, and she's pretty harsh about it. She lost a daughter, and she has an incredible ranch where rescued animals go, and people that are grieving get to go. And I think that cult of happiness, and also people want you to get over it. You know, people don't want you, it's, you know, I would say it's a little bit like drinking. Don't talk to me about not drinking and interfere with my drinking. I'm enjoying myself, right? So death is this thing, or grief is even this thing, where we need to open up space to listen to people talk about their grief and their loved ones. And I think we're uncomfortable with it because we've been kind of programmed to be uncomfortable with it. We don't have bodies in our parlor anymore, right? They took the parlor out of the home and took it to the funeral parlor and gave us a living room, right? Let's call it the living room, and then we'll take the bodies to the funeral parlor so we can pay a lot of money and we won't interact with that body. No more bodies on the dining table where we wash and take time with and be a part of. Let's not remember that we're going to die. Let's just keep going, keep doing that thing. I think it is that discomfort, and it's a little bit have been taken away from us and sterilized.
Well, and how do we support someone who's going through a grief? What do we do?
An incredible question, and it's complicated. I invite everyone to look into grief trainings. There's probably a lot of them that are free online, and look into, you know, your own, how you feel. What's the temperature of yourself when you know someone is ill at home or taking care of someone they love that's dying in the dying process at home? Where do you go with that? Do you run to that? Do you go away from that? And sometimes the only thing to say is, I don't know what to say, but I care about you. And Because oftentimes the things to not say are, it could be worse. At least you had them when you had them. And, some of those kind of things.
In a better place.
Right,
yeah.
oh yeah, the in a better place thing, right? And so it's, tell me about when you met. Tell me about that person, letting us talk about our loved ones, letting us remember them. And then not just at the time of death, but throughout, letting it be something that we talk about and we hold close.
All right. You've got notes.
Oh, yeah.
Note cards.
Right?
At your place, designed by you. Does it look familiar?
Yes.
So how do we use these?
This is a thing where, I tell anyone that I work with as a death doula, or, I probably run my mouth to somebody that I just met on the train. Send a note, right? Send a note. Or, some people I know are doing it on their computers, writing to tell the people that they know and love the way they've impacted their life. Don't wait. We don't know what's going to happen. Something catastrophic could happen. And I would leave with someone I love not knowing the depth of what they mean to me. And so this is for you. There's more on the back table near the book, to just make that a little assignment, a little bit of homework, to send the note to someone that you love and that you care for.
And there are also toolkits too that you.
Yes, there are. Mind and Spirit has designed these incredible grief toolkits that I think they'll mail out, and it's just a large kind of file of resources for grief. They're very many different resources. Some are a little bit of a class, some of it's a reading, some of it's looking at a memorial in a park that someone created to remember someone on. So there's lots of resources there to work with and to be a part of. There's sending the note. I feel like I had something else. I like to.
Well, and you have praised so many hospice volunteers.
Yes.
And that we should, maybe all of us, think of doing something like that in our lifetime.
Yes, I think so too. Even it's a short amount of time, if you're at a space where you feel like you don't know what to do, or you have too much time on your hands, or you're spend a year as a hospice volunteer. We know that volunteering, showing up for others, volunteering with Mind Spirit, it changes. My life changed when I knew that everything that I went through, a couple drug overdoses, alcoholism, violence, having my butt thoroughly kicked, when I knew that I can share what I've been through to help someone else get through it. That changes everything. My life is different because of that. You're here probably because of something like that, for showing up for others. And a little bit of volunteering goes a long way because we get out of ourselves. And sharing your grief, sharing your story, sharing your person is really helpful. I've been doing a part-time work on a memory care floor with people with memory issues and dementia. And this is another reason to write this note, because we change. It doesn't have to be that we're immediately going to die, but we change. You probably know older people that are different than they were, 20 years ago. So be sure to let people know.
Do you feel like you have closure now?
I do.
Do you want to say move on? Is that a proper thing to say, or?
It's
you don't want to move on from the memories.
Yes, right. It's I hold it differently. Yeah. I feel like I remember it differently. It's cute because I've done so much work around this that it's I'm rewriting all this stuff so I can have a different, so my kids have a different legacy. My daughter's 27 now, my son is 20, he's amazing, and I'm sure they're sick of me talking about it. They're like, you did the thing, right? And they knew my mom in a different way, and so, and they know the story, and they honor the story of Susan, and I feel like there is closure, and I feel like bringing community in to participate in those workshops. I also do an art club grief collage session, and I was shocked at how many people signed up for that. I brought all the supplies aside from invited people to bring photos of their loved ones. And there was a gal there whose father died a week ago. And we're just sitting in community, cutting out and making collage pieces just in memory and together. It was really cool. So I feel like I have closure, and I like you know, I like to keep talking about it. I like to keep inspiring people to know that we'll die and to have a plan.
And it's okay. And it's been mentioned as well here, humor. And my family deals with difficult decisions and impacts on our family through humor. Mainly, I blame my father, who, he was a World War II vet, landed D-Day, second day, Utah Beach. He lived until 8 days before his 100th birthday. And I told him before he passed away that he was the originator of the bad dad jokes, the bad dad pranks. I told him that at his funeral, I was not going to do a eulogy, I was going to do an apology for every bad joke, every bad prank, everything he pulled on coworkers and everybody. So I did. I did an apology at his funeral. And because laughter, that's how we deal with a lot of things. And maybe it might not be appropriate at times, but that's how we kind of get through it. So you have one unique hospice story that I love.
I do. I have several.
Several,
This
but
one
this one,
really,
yeah.
this one really got me. And I was sitting with a lovely, I'm going to say vibrant, 40-some-year-old woman who had had a really busy day. She had lots of visitors that day. It had been the state fair. They brought her lots of food, and she was really worn out, and she was really ill. She was near the end, and that's why she's in hospice. And we got her cleaned up and cozy, and I dim the lights. I do the stuff that I think makes the room cozy for her and that she likes. And she's laying back, and she says, "Do you see the angel?" And I was like, I don't, you know, I don't. But I don't want to say that right now. I'm going to look. I'm going to look, and eventually I'm like, I don't see the angel. You don't see the angel? You don't see the angel in my room? Do I lie? Do I see it? Do I say I see it? Is this the moment? Is this happening? Is he going to wrap his wings around her? Maybe she can see it and I can't see it. I don't know it's kind of this thing that's happening. And you don't see the angel. I don't see the angel. And she lifts her sheets and she's like, maybe it's in the bed. Somebody gave me a figurine and dropped it. It could have fallen in my bed. And I was like, oh, I get you. I get you. But I really thought I needed to see that angel, right?
I love that.
Yeah,
I love that.
it was good.
What's one thing you want us to leave with? What would you like to?
Plan to die, right? Think about your death. Think about what you want it to look like. Get your affairs in order. There's really good ways, and lawyers, and even there's a death manager kit. Death Project Manager makes a workbook. Because when we die and we don't acknowledge it, when we don't talk about it, with what's going to happen with our stuff, with our bodies, with our health care, then that adds to the grief of our loved ones. It's a way to love your people, to plan to die, to have some things together, and have it all in order so they know, so they don't have to guess and figure out, and then that starts a lot of tension in families. Yeah.
And find your angel.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Right?
Or don't lose it.
Yeah, right?
Thank you.
Okay. Books and postcards to go on the back table. There's a death deck. There's several boxes of the death deck, which is a fun interactive game that you can sit at the table with and talk about death with your family members that don't always want to talk about it. There's a dementia deck, and there's also the end of life deck as well. Thanks so much. Yay.
Amy, Molly, thank you so much for such an honest and meaningful conversation. And thank you for all of you for taking the time to be present. I can admit it, when Heather said, the theme this year is grief, I said, okay. And I was a little worried. I wondered, how would it feel to bring so many people together and talk about something this difficult? But now, after being here with all of you, after listening to Amy's story, I know how powerful it is that we did. Because what we've experienced today, this afternoon together, is deeply, intrinsically human. It is the power of connection. It's the feeling of knowing we are not alone. That feeling of connection, knowing that we have a strong and caring community around us, that's what we all want. That's what we all need and long for, especially in hard times. In times like these that can feel so dark, so divisive. What we are looking for, what we are seeking is community. And what we are doing here today is building community. When we build community, we grow hope. And hope is what carries us through these times. Hope blooms best when we are connected, when we feel the strength of the community surrounding us. I hope that you, like me, leave today feeling connected, feeling like you are part of a true community that cares. Every day at the center, we meet people in our community who are carrying their grief, quietly, sometimes heavily, parents, teens, neighbors, people who simply cannot access care without the support that comes from people like you in this room. Today, I'm asking you to help us continue to grow that community. We are launching our Circle of Hope. This is our monthly giving community. In honor of this, our 28th Women Helping Women, we're asking for a commitment of $28 a month. For just $28 a month, you can provide a therapy session for 3 uninsured neighbors. And your monthly gift creates something super powerful. It creates a reliable, consistent access to care in a community that needs it. And if you're able to do more, please do. Your impact grows. For $56 a month, you can make sure someone has 6 weeks of services. For $112 a month, you make sure that every kiddo who walks through our doors has a snack for that month. This is how hope becomes real. This is how community grows. So right now, I invite you to take out your phones. If you like to use QR codes, there's giant ones all around you. There's small ones in your program, and there are envelopes on your table as well. We are happy to take your commitment in any form that you would like to give it to us. We know, and we've heard today, how important it is to feel supported, to feel connected, and we know that giving is a true circle. As Amy mentioned, you have that card from her. It can be connection, and community doesn't have to be showing up at a big fundraiser and making sure you've hosted a table. It can be small and cozy. It can be a letter or a postcard that you dropped in the mail to let someone know that you're thinking of them. I'll remind you again that what Heather asked us at the very beginning is that floral arrangement on your table is for you to decide who do you have in your life that is struggling right now that you could deliver those flowers to. You could connect with them and make sure they know they're not alone right now. I want to thank all of you for being a part of this community. As I come into the I'm at the halfway point. 6 months in, not quite through the halfway point of a year. I feel very honored and privileged and blessed to be a part of a community that has welcomed me with open arms, the warmest possible welcome. It is one of the great gifts, I think, of my career, to be able to be serving alongside this team. Equal access to mental health care is what this community was founded on, and it is what we will continue to grow it for. Through big acts and small ones, through monthly gifts and handwritten notes, through flowers delivered and connections made, this is how hope spreads. Thank you for helping us help hope grow. I definitely forgot, Heather. Also on the screens, save the date for next year's Women Helping Women. Have a great rest of your day, everyone.